Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucs. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. What a crazy day already, right? Twitter's down, right? What the heck is going on? What a crazy day, but I appreciate everybody joining me today on the podcast. You know who's live. You know who's local at noon right here in the Tampa Bay area. And, of course, I want to hear from you. Questions, comments, concerns. It looks like Twitter's getting a little bit better right now. So, yes, as we get up and running, tune in and make sure this is another reason why if Twitter ever goes down, you want to like and subscribe on YouTube. Plenty to get into today on the program. NFL free agency is among us. We're probably missing some deals right now because of all the issues with Twitter right now. But once those come across, we will send them over to you. Shout out to Chris Meeks and Dolan and David and Benny and the whole crew. David Velasquez, I love you all. Again, questions, comments, concerns. Thank you, Chris. You're the man, pal. Thank you very, very much. And shout out, yes, everybody dealing with on Long Island there. Prayers up for them as well. Wow. A show today for the ages. And we're looking at different people on the program today because you know how we roll. We're going in depth. We're going on the scene. Who knows more about this stuff than anybody else? That's the kind of guests we have here on the Recher podcast. Not the same old, same old. We're not just staying in the Tampa Bay area. Sometimes we're going abroad, and we're going to start in Pittsburgh here in a couple minutes. Tim Benz is going to join us. Good buddy of mine. I've been on air up there in Pittsburgh for a while, talking usually Lightning, sometimes some Buccaneers. Tim is going to join us to talk about the DK Metcalf trade. Can you believe that? DK Metcalf, Seattle to now Pittsburgh. But who's going to be playing quarterback there in the Steel City? Could it be Aaron Rodgers? Could Russell Wilson go back there? Could it be Sam Darnold? Plenty to get into today. Of course, at 12:30 today, our guy Ian Beckles is going to join us for his weekly visit. We're going to talk about Ben Bredeson signing a 3-year deal with the Buccaneers. Our friend Sarah Walsh from the NFL Network, the first person with that information. Also, Levante David signing on Friday. So 2 of the big 3 free agents for the Buccaneers are home. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then also, we're going to go at 12:55. You hear about this news when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays. Could there be new owners? We saw the story written over the weekend by Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times. And listen, this has been bandied about and discussed, for the last couple of months, that there was a group of Tampa investors that were interested in getting in on this deal, keeping the stadium in St. Pete, but making sure that Stu is no longer the owner of the Rays. And one of those names, longtime Tampanian Joe Molloy. And I reached out to Joe, tried to get Joe on the show. He's not going to come on yet, but Joe Molloy promised that he will eventually come onto the show and talk about, hopefully, a change in the guard when it comes to the Rays. Who knows Joe Molloy? A guy that's known him for over 4 decades. Our pal Paul Russo. Joe Molloy actually coached Paul Russo at Wellswood here in the Tampa Bay area and was a big reason why Paul Russo ended up signing with the Yankees on a minor league deal. So he knows Joe Molloy inside and out. We're going to get some in-depth analysis of what this guy would do for the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, Paul joins us at 12:55. NFL free agency at 1:05. We're going to take that entire time and talk about and give you guys an update because at 12 o'clock today, we're going to start seeing some craziness when it comes to certain guys going here and there. Cannot wait. And then at 1:30 today, Bloomingdale in the house. The Bloomingdale Girls Basketball team won the state championship. So excited to see that. So we will have a couple of people on the program, including the head coach, Joel Bauer, also Noelle, Mengel, and Izellah Kendrick on the program. Cannot wait to hear from them. Wow. Representing Tampa Bay in a big way. I can't wait. I can't wait to be able to have this chat. And you saw, if you watched on social media, Titus O'Neil showing them some love, bigging them up, letting them know, hey, you're representing Team Tampa Bay. So I cannot wait to be able to get into that conversation and give you any kind of breaking news that we have. We're still waiting as of now. It's so weird. We've been so programmed to look at Twitter/X for years on what is going on. And with that being down, it kind of like robs everything. So here's some other stuff here. Oh, Hassan Reddick and some breaking news. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, according to Adam Schefter, have agreed to terms on a 1-year deal for $14 million, including $12 million guaranteed, with Hassan Reddick. There you go. Jason Light making a splash in free agency, helping out that pass rush. No, it's not Khalil Mack. It's not Trey Hendrickson. It's not Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, but you hear it here first, right here in the Tampa Bay area. Hassan Reddick agreeing to terms on a 1-year deal for $14 million, including $12 million guaranteed with the Buccaneers. That's according to Adam Schefter. So if Shefty says it, we believe it. Incredible. We've been waiting for that, finding out what is going on with the Buccaneers. How are they going to be able to fortify that pass rush? They're not going to pay a king's ransom for Myles Garrett. More on Myles in a little bit. Oh, it's not about money, is it? 99% of these players out there, it's about the money. And the only time that you find out that it's not about the money is usually after the fact. If anybody ever tells you before they actually put pen to paper that it's not about the money, don't believe them. Don't believe him. It just doesn't make much sense. Let's bring him in real quick. I know he's got a lot going on, so I want to bring him in and talk about some Pittsburgh Steelers and all things Pittsburgh. Our guy, Tim Benz. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing all right, trying to figure out who the next quarterback is going to be without Twitter working. So it's kind of chaotic around here.
Tim, you do such a great job there in Pittsburgh, and I've been on with you talking some Lightning and talking some Bucks over the years. So thanks so much for joining us right here. Yeah, I'm finding like ESPN.com, like they're posting these really archaic, like cryptic messages on there. Isn't it crazy like how things have changed over the years, where on a day like today, NFL free agency and Twitter goes down, everybody's like, well, I guess we kind of have to wait.
Yeah, it's almost like we're going back in time to a point where we're waiting for the afternoon edition newspapers.
Right.
Although we can't have afternoon and morning newspapers anymore because the tariffs are too high on newsprint ink coming in from Canada. So we're kind of screwed there too.
Yeah, damned if we do, damned if we don't, man. Let's go through. We'll get to the quarterback in a second. DK Metcalf going to the Steelers. I don't know if many people thought that was going to be a destination for the big-time wideout for Seattle. Did that news catch you by surprise at all? And what does that mean going forward, at least for that position for Mike Tomlin in that offense?
It didn't necessarily catch me by surprise because after the way things went last year when they got rid of Deontay Johnson without any sort of backup plan, you knew that they were going to have to ratchet up their efforts to make sure that didn't happen again in 2025. So with all the wide receivers that were moving around, with Christian Kirk and Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp being rumored and Godwin and DK and every Slayton, every other name that they'd been previously associated with still apparently out there, it seemed. I thought they'd come away with somebody. I thought they would have at least one veteran wide receiver added to the team. I didn't think they'd swing this big on DK for that long, for that much money,
right,
especially before they decide to do whatever they decide to do with Pickens. And
do you think they'll keep him?
I wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't. I was on board with trading him before DK. I think this makes it all the easier to part with him now. I think depending on what they do at quarterback, look, the Steelers don't have a great track record of spreading the ball around and completing a lot of passes as it is.
Right.
So now you're trying to keep DK Metcalf and George Pickens happy. Good luck with that. So I think these are two pretty combustible, volatile guys. I want to see who wins the race for most face mask penalties against opposing defensive backs while a play is still going on. I've got the over-under at about 10.5 combined between the two of them. So I think it'd be a tough balancing act. And I think what you can do is, all right, you gave up a 2 to get DK. You could probably get a 2 for Pickens. Use that 2 then to either draft a rookie wide receiver in the second round, or you get a Buka from Ohio State potentially at 21, or some other first-round receiver. and then start addressing defensive line in the second round if you got your number 2 pick back.
Right. And it's funny, you look at those two guys and you're like, yeah, they're out there mixing it up. They could be like the tag team champions of the world, right? Just slap some WWE belts on those guys and they'll be doing some extracurricular activities. I don't know if Mike Tomlin would love that, but it sure as hell be entertaining. So I guess the next question, Tim, is who the hell's throwing these guys passes now? Right?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what's happened in the 11 minutes since I kind of logged on here. So, again, without social media at my fingertips to give us answers, my first thought when I saw the DK move was they're not going to bring in a quarterback who's not proficient at throwing the football on top of a wide receiver that just spent $150 million on.
Right.
Like, I didn't see that. But then again, do they want to spend 35 on Darnold too? Is he worth that? Because if that's what it takes to get him away from Seattle. It also struck me that DK and Russ have a real good relationship. His wife, DK's girlfriend, are both pop stars. They know each other well, so there's a connection there. But Jerry Dulac, my co-host on Sports Talk in Pittsburgh on 970 Fox Sports Radio and in the Post-Gazette, he said that Russ is out, so maybe that's true. That doesn't make much sense to me. That's surprising to me. I thought he'd be at least in it to the end. But I don't know. I think my hunch would be Darnold makes the most sense right now. More sense than Rodgers, but apparently they're talking to Rodgers. I would love to see Rodgers come here after DK came here, because then for once and finally we could get away from absolving Tomlin of any and all blame, which
Right.
I feel like everybody outside of Pittsburgh does, because, well, he's never had a quarterback since Ben, or people act like Mike Tomlin doesn't have any say or agency in how the roster is built, when he's actually the guy who's got his thumb on the roster more than anybody else. And I don't know why the national media outside of Pittsburgh doesn't want to accept that.
Yeah, I know it's something that you and I have been talking about for a while. It's like, everybody from the outside, they probably take Mike Tomlin as their head coach in a heartbeat, but there are some issues there from people internally in Pittsburgh going, yeah, okay, he's a great coach, but are we ever going to be able to get that next? Are we ever going to be able to take that next step and make deeper runs in the playoffs? Because you look at all the other talent in the AFC, they better get a good quarterback, because it's going to be an uphill climb going against Lamar and Burrow and all these other guys.
Yeah, depending on what Cincinnati ends up doing, they could open up the season with Darnold or Rodgers with DK and still only have the third best team in the AFC.
Right.
Just because they might get somebody who's more proficient at throwing the football than Justin Fields, and they throw DK Metcalf in the mix, especially if they subtract Pickens at the same time, that doesn't mean they're going to be anything more than the 9 or 10 win team they've been since 2017.
Yeah, nobody wants mediocrity, right? You want to be able to kind of shoot for that's probably the worst thing. It's almost like the old Jeff Fisher years. Remember when the Titans just kept finishing 8-8? Like, nobody wants that, Tim. Like, and we're just
except he didn't have a Super Bowl, and Tomlin got a Super Bowl in his second
true.
year, and then a trip in his fourth. So everybody kind of holds on to that. But if you look at his resume since the start of the 2012 season, after they lost to Tebow in Denver, then the 2011 season, we're talking about now 8 years without a single playoff victory. And in his entire career, he's had 2008, 2010. He's had 4 years of playoff victories. So, the facts tell a very different story than Tomlin's a great coach, period, end of sentence, the way the national media likes to portray it.
So, Tim, before I let you go, because I know there's a lot of free agency news, and you and I got to start perusing through these headlines and combing through.
Yeah, I'm looking. Some of your commenters are saying Godwin's back, huh?
Godwin is back. Hassan Reddick is back. But before I let you go, like, where you kind of mentioned a little bit before, but what's kind of the next step outside of the quarterback, outside of figuring out what it is with the wide receiver position? What would you say, kind of to the people that are on the outside looking in, what are some of the big things that Mike Tomlin and this team needs to fix so they can start that climb back up through the hierarchy in the AFC?
Defensive line. It's a myth that the Steelers are great against the run and good running the football. They're actually not very good at either against good teams, and that was very clear by the time they played those 5 really solid teams in a row to end up losing out at the end of the season last year, including the playoff loss to Baltimore. They got to fix the defensive front, stopping the run. They got to get more creative in their pass rush. It can't just be Watt and Highsmith trying to beat guys off the edge every single play. They got to get more creative in how they create pressure. The cornerback, they need to add a cornerback. They need to figure out TJ's contract. If they really want to give him Max Crosby and Myles Garrett type of dollars for a second time,
right.
Make him the biggest contract for a non-quarterback for the second time now that Garrett has just done it. I wouldn't. I'd play out this year and then reevaluate after this season. They got to, get their young offensive linemen up to speed. They've got a good group of promising young offensive linemen and Isaac Seumalo is a veteran. They got to get those guys from promising to good NFL players. They can't just be unmolded clay anymore. They got to perform. And then they got to figure out the running back position too, because with Najee Harris floating out there at this point, if they're going to be the running team that they want to be, it can't just be Jalen Warren, who's a restricted free agent that they decided to tender today. They got to add a breakaway piece, somebody that can actually get to the edge. If Arthur Smith wants to run these pitch plays all the time to the outside, they better find somebody who can actually get outside the tackle.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Arthur Smith down here in Tampa when he was with Atlanta. Tim Benz PGH on Twitter/X, whenever the hell it's going to come back up. He does everything up there in Pittsburgh. Tune into him. He does such a phenomenal job. Tim, thanks, buddy. I know it's a busy day. Let's get back and talk some hockey next time, brother.
You got it, man. All the best to you.
Thanks, pal. Tim Benz, he's the man. Love that dude, man. There really is nobody else to talk to when it comes to Pittsburgh. All right, let's get into it right now. Chris Godwin signing a deal back with the Buccaneers. I know Twitter's down. Go tell your friends right now. Nobody else locally is talking about this, but we are right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Kill that like button. Share this. Take this link on YouTube and share this on all of your social media platforms. We've got it right here. Chris Godwin agreeing to a 3-year contract, 2 fully guaranteed. Godwin back with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers sign Hassan Reddick on a 1-year deal, $14 million. $12 million guaranteed. So you want a pass rusher? Jason Light will take care of you. You want Chris Godwin back? Jason Light's got you. You want Levante David back? We'll make that happen too. How about Ben Bredesen? Boom. Lock it in. Sarah Walsh in the NFL Network. The first one on it. The Buccaneers not only bring back all 3 of their most important free agents, they go out and get the pass rusher that we've been waiting for. Give me one guy. Give me one freaking guy that's going to be able to go out there and make the opposing quarterback's life a living hell. And we understand the whole thing with Hassan, with the free agency and, not and getting traded, everything that's gone on in his past. But this is a guy, when he is on the field, Hassan Reddick is an absolute monster. We watched him all the way back at Temple when he was making USF's life a living hell. And then we watched him in the NFL just continuously ball out year after year after year. He's got familiarity with Todd Bowles from Arizona, and you look at these statistics. This guy is a 10-sack machine. I'm not looking at what happened last year. That was just kind of a funky year. He was with the Jets, an absolute dumpster fire. But you look at the last year in Arizona, the 1-year prove-it deal in Carolina, and then 2 years with Philadelphia. Not only is this guy good, but he's available. He's on the field. Last year in Arizona in 2020, 12.5 sacks. That 1 year in Carolina, 11 sacks. The first year in Philadelphia in 2022, 16 sacks. And that year in 2023 for Philadelphia, 11 sacks. This is a guy that has 59 sacks in his career. He will be a welcome addition for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And then you could start building on that defensive side of the ball. Do you make more forays into free agency? Maybe. But now this kind of helps you possibly. Let's say you draft another guy at the defensive end or the edge position in the draft. Think about what your pass rush is going to look like then. Hassan Reddick, your first-round pick, Yaya Diaby, Chris Braswell. You feel a lot better about the pass rush today than you did yesterday. Huge move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And all, so that's Hassan Reddick. But you're bringing back a guy like Chris Godwin. What a fantastic move to be able to bring in or keep a guy that, like, this is where he needs to be. This is where Chris Godwin's career needs to start and to end. Very rarely do you have a guy that you look at when you're talking about a Mike Evans and you go, all right, you're going bell to bell. In the world that we live in with free agency, in the world that we live in with trades and miscommunication and disloyalty between players and franchises. What do you get here? They say lightning doesn't strike twice. Isn't that crazy? They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but how ironic is it that it has happened right here in the Tampa Bay area? Oh, you want to have one wide receiver that is going to play his entire career for one team? Well, the Buccaneers, it looks like they're going to have two. It wouldn't be right if Chris Godwin was playing in another uniform next year. Just like it wouldn't be right if Mike Evans was playing in another uniform next year. And how about a guy like Lavonte David? If he's going to play in the NFL in the 2025 season, it's going to be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, overjoyed that this is the start of free agency for the Bucs. This is exactly what they needed to do. Take care of your own. Fortify that offensive line with Ben Bredeson. You got your starting 5 guys back for the 2025 season. Your emotional leader in Lavonte David, one of the greatest players in the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, back smack dab in the middle of that defense. Hopefully mentoring and working with the next crop of the inside linebackers that are going to take this team into the next generation. Looking at the pass rush, what can the Buccaneers do? What can they do to help get more pressure on the quarterback with 4, just like Todd Bowles likes? You bring in Hassan Reddick. That's going to make Yaya Diaby's life a whole hell of a lot easier. It's going to make a guy like Chris Braswell feel like his development doesn't need to be rushed. Such a smart move. And again, the experience is there with Todd Bowles. And then you bring back Chris Godwin. This offense is not going to miss a beat in the 2025 season. You bring Chris back, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again here with you guys today. If Chris went somewhere else, they were going to expect him to be wide receiver 1 right off the jump. Oh, you had an injury? Sorry, man. We paid you all this money. You need to be our leading guy right now. You need to have 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, and at least 7 or 8 touchdowns, or you're a bust. You're a failure. You don't need to do that here. Chris, take your time. Take your time getting back. We got Mike. We got Jalen McMillan. You never know. They might draft another guy or two. Take your time, Chris, because you being healthy down the stretch as this Buccaneers team tries to make another long postseason run is way more important than you being 100% in week 1. That comfort level, that familiarity, man, the culture and the environment with the Buccaneers right now is as good as it's ever been in franchise history. So kudos to Jason Light. Kudos to Mike Greenberg. Kudos to Todd Bowles and everybody involved with the Buccaneers organization. This is a fantastic day if you're a Bucs fan. Love it. I freaking love this. God, this is so awesome. Russell wants to know, didn't Reddick sit out last year? Is he an issue for the locker room? I would say no, Russ. I would say no. And here's the reason why. He went to the Jets, and there was a lot of miscommunication there. He wanted a long-term deal. It didn't work out. He thought going one way. He was like, all right, well, Philadelphia doesn't want to give me a long-term deal. The Jets traded for him, thinking, oh, yeah, if we get him here, we'll give him a – kind of like what happened with Mikko Rantanen in hockey. Oh, if we get him here, we'll be able to sign him to a long-term deal. And the Jets were like, it didn't work out. And then Hassan's like, what the hell? I'm not going to sign here. So he's going on a 1-year prove-it deal like we've seen it already. We've already seen Hassan Reddick on a 1-year prove-it deal. That 1 year in Carolina. After not getting that deal with Arizona, because it's tough. Look, you look at the first 3 years. He's a little bit of a late bloomer. The first 3 years with Arizona, he played every single game. But he had 2.5 sacks, 4 and 1. And he played more towards the middle inside linebacker than outside. Kicking to the outside, and look at what he was able to do on that last year. 12.5 sacks. Arizona was like, I don't know what we should do. Is this the right move? He goes to Carolina on that 1-year prove-it deal. He plays in all 16 games, 68 total tackles and 11 sacks. Philadelphia rewards him with a deal. Look at that. 16 sacks, 11 sacks, and the 2 years with Philly, 27 sacks. This is a guy, if he's healthy, I don't think that he's going to be any type of distraction. I don't think it's going to be negative at all. He knows coming. Here's two reasons why, and then I'm going to answer this again. Oh, don't. Right there, Russ. Two reasons why this won't be an issue for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One, Hassan's not coming here. He is not coming here if he doesn't know what that culture is like. He's not coming here, coming to a place like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if he doesn't know that there's veterans around and this team is ready to win right now, and this is a place where he's going to get opportunity and he's going to try to reestablish that market value, even though he's on the wrong side of 30. Here's the other thing. This is where you have to trust, and this is where you give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization the benefit of the doubt. There's no way that Jason Light and Todd Bowles bring Haason Reddick in here if he's a bad apple. If they think Haason Reddick is going to upset the entire apple cart, they don't bring him in here. Remember, there were people out there. You're not going to hear from them right now because of how it worked out. But there were people in here that were worried about a guy like Ndamukong Suh. What happened? He came, fortified the middle of that defensive line, and boom, helped this team win a Super Bowl. There were people in here that were worried about Antonio Brown, and we know how it ended. And that's obviously the drastic end of the spectrum going all the way down to the other side, right? But the Buccaneers, whether it was Bruce Arians or any of the guys involved, they were able to keep it together for that 1 year to win a Super Bowl. Do we think it's going to melt down with Haason Reddick like we saw with Antonio Brown? I don't think anybody thinks that is going to happen. But I have so much confidence, especially why, Russ, a guy like Lavonte David coming back too. It's just another thing. It's another aspect of growing this team, growing this defense, to know that he is here. Haason Reddick ain't stepping out of line. He understands what it's going to entail coming to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is no joke. This is no messing around. There's been so many times in Buccaneer history we look at it and you kind of look at things sideways and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. And man, why can't the Bucs operate like Team X, Team Y, Team Z? Well, on a day like today, March 10th, 2025, when free agency has been around for not even 30 minutes, the Buccaneers are one of the teams that people around the league are looking at and going, I wish we were like the Buccaneers. Think about that. There are players and there's teams around the league that want to emulate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we got to shout out our guy, TJ Reeves, who said this on the show 2 weeks ago. If Lavonte David and Chris Godwin are playing this year, it will be in Tampa Bay Buccaneer uniforms. Well said, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. 100%. And we'll talk to our guy, Ian Beckles, here in a bit, because from the time listening to Ian on DAE or here on the podcast or on his In the Trenches podcast, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this where you looked at the Buccaneers organization and you felt like they were one of the model franchises in the sport for a long freaking time. But we are in a new era of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are in an era right now, probably the most positive when it comes to the culture and the foundation of this entire team. And that is why, another reason why, when everybody wanted to get rid of Todd Bowles and bring in Liam Cohen, Todd Bowles has his fingerprints on stuff like this. Right here. He is a factor. He is a factor why Haason Reddick. The same reason why guys like Jason Light and Bruce Arians were a factor when it comes to Tom Brady coming here. Well, a guy like Haason Reddick comes here because a guy like Todd Bowles is a factor. Them working together with the Cardinals. Twitter is down, like our guy Nick in Sarasota is saying, so I might need to stay live all day for breaking free agency news. I'll be here until 3 o'clock doing my thing. And, of course, we're doing our thing every Monday at 12:30 with the one and only Ian Beckles. What's going on, big man?
What's good with you?
Bro, I'm telling you, and just to fill you in on everything that has happened already today, Sarah Walsh, our good friend from the NFL Network, lets us know Ben Bredesen coming back, 3-year deal. Yep. Now you got all 5 starters on the offensive line. The Buccaneers, obviously on Friday, bring back Lavonte David. The Buccaneers sign Chris Godwin to a 3-year deal. The Buccaneers sign Haason Reddick, a 1-year deal, $14 million, $12 million guarantee. Beck, they bring back their 3 big free agents. They bring in a guy that's lock him in. He's a 10-sack guy. Last year getting traded to the Jets. That was a dumpster fire. But before that, for 3 different teams in 4 years, this is a 10-sack guy. We've been saying he could be a 10-sack guy when the Buccaneers are looking at different. This guy is a 10-sack guy. And he's on a 1-year prove-it deal. The last time he was on a 1-year prove-it deal in Carolina, he had 11. And then when he got the bag, the first year in Philly, he had 16 sacks. I just don't think that the Buccaneers in the first 31 minutes of free agency could have done any better right now, because not only did they keep their guys, but they also signed a legitimate pass rusher and didn't have to trade draft picks or commit $100 million to him.
Well, I mean, it's very early in free agency, and I think if we went to the end of free agency, we would think that this was already successful. I mean,
right.
we've already filled all the major, voids on our team in the offseason. When you sign your own players, you don't normally get better. Bredesen being signed makes you better because we have familiarity with the offensive line, and now he's in his second year. He will be better. Chris Godwin being signed, we didn't have Chris Godwin for half the year, so that's kind of making us better.
Right.
And bringing in Reddick as a pass rusher, if you bring in anybody who gets double-digit sacks, if that's what he's doing, will make any team better. So I don't think the first day could have been any better than it has been.
I said this before you came on, and I really wanted to get your 2 cents on it. I don't know if the call, and you and I are so simpatico on this, where sometimes when people talk about culture and chemistry, it's overused. Like, it's easy to say that when you're winning, right?
Yep.
But I think you can tell how good a culture and a chemistry is in the offseason when it comes to free agency, when it comes to retaining your players. I know it's tough to tell because we're not in there, on game days. But even from the outside, Beck, this could be the best culture. This could be the best kind of chemistry, the best kind of, maybe of all time, right? For this Buccaneers team, when it comes to everybody being on the same page, no drama, and just everything moving forward. Like, what do you have to say about that? Because I know in years it's been, it's been rough putting, rough sledding for the Bucs.
Well, as of late, the Buccaneers have been a different product. Okay. And I really, I think a lot of the credit has to go to Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. If you're a Buccaneer fan, when Tom Brady got here, things changed somewhat. Like, when Tom Brady got here, the Buccaneers at that point were still, I believe, the losingest franchise in sports. Okay. Right. Tom Brady got here. We won a Super Bowl. We were contenders for 2 years. Now, that kind of changed our status there. It changed the Buccaneers status. It changed Jason Light's status. It changed the status of the Buccaneers of the place to be. Now, nothing has changed except, the players, if you really think about it. Right. If Jameis Winston was a quarterback right now, it wouldn't be as, appealing of a place. I think Baker Mayfield makes it appealing. I think Jason Light makes it appealing. I think Todd Bowles makes it appealing. So everybody here wants to get Todd Bowles out of here. Why do you want to get a coach out that the best players are trying to re-sign? How many teams out there that people are like, I got to get out of here? When was the last time you told somebody from the Buccaneers organization with Todd Bowles said, I want to get out of here? So for everybody's ready to get Todd Bowles out of here, you better watch what you ask for.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you look at this entire situation with the Buccaneers and them. How much I remember this vividly. I remember being at one of the practices early when Brady came, and I was there for every practice and every training camp in the offseason for Jameis Winston. And I just know the attention to detail when Brady was there. No footballs hit the ground. Guys were having fun, but they weren't, everybody was doing something. Everybody was in their place. Everybody was focused on doing the right thing. And I feel like there is like trickle down effect. Can that happen? Like, it's weird. Like we would hope that, right? We were hoping, all right, when Tom leaves, that guys like Mike and Levante would be able to carry that. But it's not just them, is it, Beck? Like, because you have Wirfs, you have Winfield, even guys like Jamel Dean, like these guys that were on that Super Bowl winning team, like they know what it takes. They know what it entails. Not even just like to win, but like what the winning process looks like, right?
Well, there was times where the Buccaneers had no winning pedigree in their locker room. None. Right. I mean, Jameis Winston is the leader, and then Mike Evans at that time was just a great football player, never won anything. We got nothing but winners now in that locker room, man. We got future Hall of Famers. You have, we may have Mike Evans. I think Levante David is a borderline. Tristan Wirfs going Hall of Fame, Playboy.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. So we have future Hall of Famers in here that are running our locker room. The Buccaneers have always had the weather, the field, and the state tax.
Right.
If you don't think those are big things, if you make $1 million in the NFL and you play in California, you make $110,000 less off rip. And that's not talking about, the other taxes and cost of living and real estate. So to be in Tampa Bay, let me use the Lightning as a great example, okay? In 1996, it wasn't cool to play hockey in Tampa Bay,
Right.
but everything else being equal, if you can go to this, to the stadium in flip-flops, I'm positive Saskatchewan is not nice right now. and nobody in Saskatchewan wearing flip-flops, so everything else is there. All you got to do is have a winning culture, and Tampa Bay is the best place in the planet to be.
Is it on the planet or on the earth?
On the earth.
All right, now you got me inquiring how cold it is in Saskatoon right now. And it is
beautiful. It's beautiful this time of year in Saskatoon.
Right now, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'll give you one guess. How many degrees it is Fahrenheit?
At this moment? 35.
Right now in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, it is 7 degrees.
You know what's messed up? Messed up, Jay? This is real. I said 35, but in my mind, I'm thinking, no freaking way it's 35. When it was 35 in Montreal, people were skiing with shorts on. So you're right. 7's about right. 7 is still warm, by the way.
It is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you, because there's some people that are wondering about Hassan Reddick, right? People are saying, a guy from Bucks Basement here, this is a huge mistake by the Bucks. Just shows Jason Light is nothing but a cheap ass. I would not agree with that at all. Also, not a fan of the Reddick signing. It's Randy Gregory 2.0, complete with a person who won't play if not satisfied with his contract. Light went for the cheap option, and I'm not happy. I couldn't disagree with that more. He told the Eagles that he wouldn't play unless he was going to get a long-term deal. And when he got traded to the Jets, he thought the Jets were going to give him a long-term deal, and they didn't. And obviously he held out for a while before he got paid for that 1 year. Now he's here. There's no issue right now when it comes to Hassan Reddick worrying about a long-term deal with the Buccaneers. And no, he's not Randy Gregory, because you know what? Randy Gregory had 22 sacks in his career, never had 10. Hassan had 16 in 1 year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Would you be concerned at all about Hassan Reddick because of what happened last year with the Eagles and the Jets? I pretty much spelled it all out for you right there. I'm not concerned with that at all here. And I don't think it's me with pewter colored glasses on. I think this is a 1 year deal who's already shown that he can rise to the occasion, whether he gets paid or whether it's a 1 year prove it deal. And the Buccaneers need help in that spot. And you're not giving away draft picks, and you're not spending $130 million or paying how much Myles Garrett wanted over the weekend. I don't think there's a problem with this at all.
Well, all things considered, I think it's a good signing. Is he Myles Garrett? Nope. He's never going to be Myles Garrett. Never was. It's all about productivity, okay? If you're going to give me 10 sacks, if you just give me 10 sacks from Reddick right now, he's worth $14 million. Okay, that's it.
100%.
He's worth that, okay? We haven't seen 10 sacks since Shaq Barrett a few years ago. So if you said that he saved money, well, who did he save money from? If it's Myles Garrett, well, yeah, he's not Myles Garrett. But if you can get a difference maker out there in the end that somebody has to account for, which we haven't had in many, many years, he'll be worth the money. Now, I think that maybe you have to have somewhat buyer beware because of two other teams didn't give him the bag. But that's a decision all teams have to make.
Right.
Like no teams want to lose good football players, but you have to make decisions. The Giants made a decision last year with Saquon Barkley, okay? Even to this second right now, I just talked to a Giants fan and an Eagle fan yesterday. He shouldn't have been re-signed by the Giants. It was a bad move at the time. He wouldn't have had that year like he had last year, for sure. He wouldn't have taken that team there. We wouldn't have been talking about him, so he made the right decision, and the Giants made the right decision as well.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, man. I'm looking at, and Janet Best is saying, I'll put my trust in Jason Light. He's hitting way more than he's missing. I mean, he really has changed. And we just said about Tom Brady, but the narrative around Jason Light has certainly changed, because for a while there, you're looking at it and he was defined by, some of these moves that he made with the Roberto Aguayo, but man, he's had a lot more good ones than bad ones here in the last couple of years, hasn't he?
Well, I've been on radio for a long time, okay? I've been talking about the Buccaneers for a long time on radio and on my podcast, In the Trenches. And the one thing that I pride myself on is being fair, okay? That's the one thing. I don't care what your name is. I don't care what your pedigree is. I don't care if you like me. I'm going to try to be fair. There was a time where I questioned Jason Light, and he deserved it, because he made some bonehead moves and some moves that didn't work out. And, Jameis Winston was one, the Aguayo was, things like that. It wasn't bust moves by any means, but I'm going to evaluate you from what you've done. Let's go away from the Aguayo and let's go to now. How many positive things has Jason Light done and how many negative things? I promise you the positive outweigh the negative. And you should know it does, because of the productivity on the football field. So to me, I'm team Jason Light, because it's not to a point where he's a breezebois, but he's making some good choices. And to put a contender on the field year after year in any sport is tough, especially the NFL.
Julian Breezeball, my favorite Canadian. I like when you bring him up in
Watch
the conversations.
Watch your mouth.
I had a dream the other night that I actually sang the Canadian national anthem, and after I sang it, I had to list my 5 favorite Canadian people.
Did I make top 5? Come on, Brian.
Everybody got mad because I said you were number 1, and then I said Stammer was number 2, and then Cooper and Breezeball were 3 and 4, and number 5 I think was like Gino Vanelli or somebody like that.
Well, who got mad? Haters.
It was haters. Cooper and Breezeball. It was in my dream. It was a dream.
Oh well.
They were like,
tell Coop he was too sensitive in your dream.
He's always got something going on. The other day he wouldn't let me ask the question in the press conference. He goes, "You can't ask one. You can't ask a question." I'm like, "Come on, man."
Why not? What are you, an animal?
He just busted my chops. Rob G. Let's Jay and Ian. Let's go, Jay and Ian. Great signing so far. I don't think it'll happen, but if we can get Joey Bosa on a 1-year contract, imagine our defensive line with Cansey, Yaya, Reddick, and Bosa. Benny brought up Phil Esposito. Oh man, yeah, I think Phil was number 5. He'll kill me if he's not number 1. Well. But yeah, what do you think about them signing another guy? I don't know if they would sign another pass rusher, right? I think if they address that, I think that it would be in the draft now. Ian, do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, I'm not behind closed doors, and I don't know their financial situation. My thing is this. When Myles Garrett was out there, who are the teams that you heard are going after him? It's the teams that have great pass rushes. Like Philadelphia was going to go after Myles Garrett. I'm like, how dare you? So if you ask me, can you have too much pass rush? The hell no. Bring it. I wish we had 8 pass rushers. And the good ones, and if you go back to the Bucs when they were great, we have backup pass rushers that were getting 8, 9, 10 sacks. Steve White. These guys got numbers back in the day when may he rest in peace. But now our lead sack guy got 8 sacks, man. We got to get back to...
And that was a guy in the middle.
And that's the guy in the middle, and it's not the same. We got to go back to teams being scared of somebody. That's the way it is in all sports, okay? If you go into a game and you're not scared of anybody, and I'm not sure the Bucs had anybody on their defense that the other team was like, we have to handle this guy, and we need to get that guy back.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, other than and it has to be a guy on the line, right? You would think, well, maybe not all the time, but
not necessarily. I mean, there's defensive
a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr., right? Yeah. But I don't know. It's still different when you're a safety, maybe off the ball, unless you're an Ed Reed type, right? Unless you're an Ed Reed type.
Well, Ed Reed
is not Ed Reed.
Yeah, Ed Reed's the best ever. But listen, I would say this. I know John Lynch changed games because he was able to with his hitting. Warren Sapp changed games. Derek Brooks changed games. Rondé Barber changed games. Simeon Rice at times changed games. I don't even know if I could put Levante David in that category. Okay?
What about Vita Vea? Vita Vea is a very interesting character because, you look at around the league, and I think you hear it sometimes in national broadcasting. And I wonder, because we look at it, and again, same thing with Gerald, where you'll kind of compare him to Warren, and he's not Warren, and maybe he's not, Vince Wilfork, but man, I still see Vita making plays, man. Vita makes plays, and when he's healthy, I mean, he gets sacks from a guy in that position. I know that's a kind of it's more telling that the Buccaneers don't have an outside pass rush, but Vita makes plays, man. That game against Dallas, he was the guy that dropped out in the coverage to knock the ball down. Like, he does come up big when the Buccaneers need him. I mean, I wonder if we gauge him properly. I think Vita Vea is one of those guys where maybe we might be a little too harsh on him locally. Maybe they're too high of praise on him nationally. What do you think?
Well, I know what Vita Vea is, okay? I just know what he is. And what he is if I started a defense today, I would be okay starting it with Vita Vea. Mm-hmm. That is a praise like you wouldn't believe. I'll start my defense with Vita Vea, and then I'll work out. And I think I can make it a pretty good defense. That being said, he's Vince Wilfork 2.0, but Vince Wilfork didn't take over games. He didn't take over games. I mean, like, when I talk about take over games, I mean, like, we have to game plan for. Vita Vea at times can be a mismatch for people inside. That happens, but not on the regular. Because, I mean, like, me and Warren had this talk, Warren Sapp, a long time ago, and now I get it a little bit more because, once again, I think Vita Vea is a great football player. But you can't do what he does well all game. Can't do it. You can't bull rush all game, and it's 95 degrees. You can't play the whole game. Like, bull rushing is one of the toughest things to stop for an offensive lineman, but it's like doing 10 sets of squats and then waiting a minute, then doing another 10 sets. Like, bull rushing is, I'm 3-something, so to push me back, it's a lot of effort. So you better, when you're giving up that much effort, if you don't get there, your next couple reps are not going to be good. So you just can't bull rush all the time. I love Vita Vea as a football player, but if he's the second or third best rusher on the line, which he would have been in the Sapp era, he'd be way more effective.
Yeah, but think about that now. Like, what if Reddick comes up, he's a 10-sack guy? What if Yaya's a 10-sack guy? Then you look at Vita and you go, oh, man. Like, that pass rush changes completely when you bump him down.
Yep.
I saw a video the other day of Kalijah Cansey working out. He's actually worked out with our guy, Brian Baldinger. He puts in the work in the offseason. What do you want to see from Kalijah Cansey next year, knowing that, hey, you got Hassan Reddick now, you got Vita Vea? Like, this is really, if he's going to be that guy that warranted that first-round pick, like, he's got to be a fringe Pro Bowler this year, doesn't he?
Well, my thing with Kalijah Cansey is when I watch him, I see where he has to work, okay? He has to work on the instinct part of the game,
Right.
and that's not something you can work with on the offseason. It's a rep thing. He has all the intangibles to be great. He just has to learn the game a little bit more because great inside guys are always near the ball. Warren Sapp was not Warren Sapp the first year. Even the second year, Warren Sapp was good, but he wasn't great. Now, about the third year, you're like, whoa. And then it started going up from here. So I think Kalijah Cansey, his trajectory is perfect. He's just, he hasn't even, I bet together, he's only played one season of football because he's been very injured. And even when he's in there, he's not 100%. So if you get a healthy, and this is, we don't know because he's not done it yet, but if we could get Kalijah Cansey for 17 weeks, and that's easy to say. If we can get him for 17 weeks and we can see how he develops, he could be on the fringe of a Pro Bowl guy, but that's saying a lot because playing 17 games ain't no joke.
No, it ain't. But still, we want to see him at least start the season, right? I think at times I'm a little bit more okay with the guy missing a game or two in the middle of the season, knowing that you're going to have the bye coming up, right? In the beginning of the season, it seems like sometimes if guys can't start the season week one, they have trouble sometimes getting in the groove and they never kind of find their footing. Where if you have a guy like Mike Evans, like we saw last year, that injury stunk, but he was able to come back, break the record. Sometimes if you have that early season injury, it seems like you can never get like in the groove with everybody else. And I want to see Kalijah Cansey out there for the first 5, 6, 7 games.
Well, this is my problem with modern football, okay? I understand how they're treating these players because they don't have a choice. Like, those agents are not going to let you beat those guys up in practice. They're not.
Right.
But if you don't get the very minimal reps that's happening in training camp, boy, it's because I was in 3-a-days. I was in the last group of players in the NFL to do 3-a-days with Ray Perkins.
Wow.
And I've always said it still took me to about week 4 until I was in football shape. So we went 2 padded practices every day, Monday through Friday. These guys now don't even put pads on till the 4th day, and they put on once. Then the next day they don't put pads on. So if you're missing this, you're going into the regular season without catching licks.
Right.
And you're not tenderized. And your body, to last 16, 17 games, when you didn't go through the work part of it, and off-season is great. You can do whatever you want in the off-season, but it ain't 9 on 7. It's not getting your brain and your body ready to, just to endure the whole season. So you're right. Missing early football is not good for anybody. And it's been a pattern for Kalijah Kancey. And there's nothing he wants more than to be healthy, because being hurt sucks. Everybody looks at you funny. You just want to get on the football field, but there ain't nothing you can do.
Some other news. I know Twitter's down. Everybody's losing their mind. What a crazy day. Jacksonville Jaguars have agreed to a 3-year deal with cornerback Jordan Lewis. Spent 8 seasons with the Cowboys. This is another guy that I really wanted the Buccaneers to give a look to. Robert Spillane, linebacker, Steelers, Raiders, tackling machine, signs with the Patriots. 3-year deal worth $37 million. Jimmy Garoppolo goes to the Rams to back up Matthew Stafford out there. Beck, we saw on Friday, before everything kind of got underway, that Lavonte David is returning home for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And man, it feels right, man. It feels right that he stays here with the Bucs. Could this be it? Who knows? We were having the same conversation last year. But man, to get that news on Friday that 5-4 is staying with the Buccaneers, he can't play in another uniform, right? He's going to be a guy bell to bell. He's a Ring of Honor, fringe Hall of Famer. When you heard the news Lavonte David was coming back, what was your initial reaction?
Well, I was happy because, I've never met Lavonte. I don't think I've ever said anything negative about Lavonte ever. Like, never. And I think I've said something negative about every other person on the team, except I don't remember ever seeing anything negative about him. I never heard anything negative about him on or off the football field. So you just got to be happy for a guy like that. Now, that being said, we say that about a lot of players that end up playing somewhere else. Okay, people say that Tom Brady played somewhere else. If Tom Brady can play somewhere else, Lavonte David can play somewhere else. That being said, it comes down to the player. Like, you can say Mike Evans can't play anywhere else, but if somebody pissed him off in the organization, he's going to go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Lavonte David, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, it sounds great to go to another team that's a contender. First of all, the Buccaneers are a contender. So why would you want to run away? And why would you want to, I don't know his personal life, but I know you have a house here. I know you don't want to go somewhere else to buy a house. If you happen to have children, they are in school, and there's so many things of just picking up and leaving. If your kids are in school, then you got to pick them up half the season, and it's a lot of stuff. So sometimes the grass isn't greener, and I'm positive Lavonte loves it here. He's got his off the field, charity stuff, and God bless him. He's done great things since he got here.
At Ian Beckles on all social media platforms, The Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard, Beckles and Recher. We took a week off. I was working for USF last Wednesday. We'll get back together this Wednesday. We got plenty to get into. We're going to talk about LeBron and Stephen A. Smith. We got to get into that, man. That's something else. The crazy stuff, man. We'll get into that and all things NFL. What else you got going on this week?
Nothing crazy. We have a concert coming up here in Dignitary on the 29th. We have my people, Space Camp. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're reggae, hip hop. They're freaking amazing. Okay. Space Camp, camp spelled with a K. But other than that, we got Ladies Night Thursday, Cigar Night Thursday, and we might play Poker Wednesday. Are you in on Wednesday?
Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah, this week because the Lightning are on the road, so we might.
Okay. Well, maybe we keep it Thursday this week. Maybe.
There you go. What about Jadakiss? When's my guy coming back?
That's going to be next month, and we're still working on the Beanie Siegel would be first. So
Beanie Siegel, Desert Eagle, dog, who else but me? I like it. All right. Beck, I appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you on next Monday, but we'll catch up on Wednesday. Appreciate you, my guy.
All right, brother. Peace.
One love. The one and only Ian Beckles. Wow. All right, so Twitter is down. Twitter/X is down. It was kind of down earlier today. Now it is really down today. So if you're going to get your updates when it comes to NFL free agency, it's going to be right here on the Jay Recher podcast, because we are the only things live, or we're the only show live right now in the Tampa Bay area. I got it all for you. Also earlier today, Mekhi Becton, it looks like he's going to test free agency. Jonathan Allen from Washington, he's visiting the Vikings. Khalil Mack agrees to a 1-year fully guaranteed $18 million deal to stay with the Chargers. J.C. Horn, a record deal, 4-year extension with the Carolina Panthers, $70 million guaranteed, $100 million deal. And Sheldon Rankins back to the Texans as well. And oh yeah, let's not forget the Falcons released Grady Jarrett. That's probably a Ring of Honor guy for them. Broncos agree to deal with Evan Engram. Keep it locked right here on the Jay Recher podcast, because we are going to give you every single deal as it comes out. We know that free agency started at noon today. Probably the worst day for Twitter to kind of take a crap and crap all over itself. So, And then, thank you, Jeremy Lowe, as well. Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about free agency, feel free to put them there at the bottom of the screen and chime in. Any deals that you see breaking, let me know, and we will talk about it here. All right, one of the big stories from over the weekend, and we've been kind of wondering, like, what is the deal with the Rays, right? And we knew that there was, some groups trying to get together and trying to work it out. And then this story came up about Tampa businessman Joe Molloy leading a Tampa-based group seeking to buy the Rays and pursue the planned St. Petersburg Stadium deal. So this was an article written by Mark Topkin this weekend, and you remember the name Joe Molloy. It's a Tampa name. This is a guy that knows baseball. He knows the Tampa Bay area. Previous MLB experience, 10 years as an executive with the Yankees, 2-year run as managing general partner during and after the time George Steinbrenner was suspended by the league. He married George Steinbrenner's daughter, Jessica, longtime educator in the Tampa Bay area. Try to get Joe on the show. We got a lot of mutual friends, but I couldn't get that. But hopefully we'll be getting him on soon. But I wanted to bring on a guy that knows Joe Molloy very well, and you know him pretty well. It's our good pal, Paul Russo. Paul, being around the Tampa Bay area, one of the names when it comes to baseball here in the Bay, of course, Hit Factory, Tampa Catholic, and just an all-around great guy. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Everything's good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I reached out, just letting everybody know, full transparency, reaching out to Paul last night about trying to get in contact with Joe Molloy. And, Joe's got a lot of, you want to make sure that you put everything in order before you start making the rounds. It's easy to make a couple of quotes to Mark Topkin, but hopefully we can get him on, as we get closer, if this thing comes to fruition.
No, I think that'll be possible without a doubt. I think, a quote is a quote, but an interview is a little bit different.
You got that right, buddy. So, a lot of people may know the name of Joe Molloy, right? Especially here in the Tampa Bay area where the Yankees were so prevalent. We have George Steinbrenner High School here. But just let everybody know first, like, how you met Joe, how you come to befriend him over the years.
Well, actually, Joe was my Little League coach at Wellswood when I was a kid. And
oh, I lost you, brother. This happens every time. Guess what happened? Paul just got a phone call. StreamYard's got to fix it and I have to kick the people out. Oh, wait, he's back. Yes.
So through the
years,
you're back.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So through the years, Joe was my Little League coach. And, as I went through high school, college, we were always stayed in touch. And then when I got into professional baseball, I got drafted, of course, by the Twins. When I became a free agent, Joe wanted me to play for the Yankees. So that's what happened. And he was not only my Little League coach, but then he was my boss. So, we've known each other since I was 12 years old. So it's a long friendship.
So a guy like Joe Molloy, we know what he was able to do for the Yankees there in the 90s.
Right.
What about his baseball acumen, Paul? How did he impact the Yankees' success there when he was there?
Well, you gotta look at when Mr. Steinbrenner was, outlawed from Major League Baseball or banished.
Right.
Joe was, one of the guys that was leading the charge. And,
right.
I'm not embarrassed to say that I think a part of the Yankees' success was because of Joe. and the people he hired around him, the Tampa community that was hired around him to help run the Yankees in Mr. Steinbrenner's absence.
Do you think that's why there's such a kind of a deep embedded love? And I'm not talking about guys like myself that moved from New York, but I feel like for certain people, like my buddy that grew up in Tampa, he goes, yeah, Steinbrenner gave us $20,000 one year to go play in the AAU national championships in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like, is Joe Molloy one of those reasons why people in the Tampa area that may not even be from New York have that kind of love and affinity, and at least at the very least,
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it for sure. I can tell you when I was at Mary Help a Christian and I was helping build the baseball facility there for Father Steve, the Steinbrenner family cut me a check for $25,000 to help build everything over there.
Wow. So
I don't know if it's because Mr. Steinbrenner lived in Tampa. I'm sure that's part of it. But, Joe, when he became general partner and became really involved with the Yankees, they hired a lot of Tampa people. And that helped, I believe, the Yankee legend grow in Tampa because more interest of people that were local. And then, of course, when they moved spring training here, it kind of blew up, you have the most storied franchise in baseball history is now in your hometown.
What do you think he would do something similar like that? Because obviously it's him. There's a couple other names, investors. And part of the reason why people are not too thrilled with a guy like Stu Sternberg is because it just doesn't seem like – well, I asked him myself years ago, the whole Montreal thing, do you think there's a disconnect between the community and the ownership of the Rays? And he said no. If Joe Molloy and his group ends up doing this, I feel like that would be a key part to making this thing successful, is kind of investing and involving people in the Bay Area. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I agree with that statement. I would never, ever speak for Joe, ever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I would tell you that knowing Joe the way I've known him for the last 40 years, he's a Tampa guy, and I would suspect that he would hire Tampa people around him to bring the community closer. I don't think you have to be from Tampa. You're not from Tampa. Everybody loves you here. You know what I mean? But he would know how to not only build the organization, but make it community friendly and make people fall in love with the Rays the way they do the Yankees.
What is it about? We'll get to Joe in a second, but do you feel there is a disconnect? Because I feel when people ask me about baseball, I feel like it's such a
it's like we talked about this before. I think I think being in St. Pete, and you and I have gone back and forth. If you're in New York, people travel from all over to go see the Yankees. Well, I think more people would travel to go see the Rays if they were winners like the Yankees. That's the first thing. But I think, the Rays have contributed money to local ballparks in Tampa. So, they've given out free uniforms for kids and all that kind of stuff. So, but I think nothing connects an organization to a community like winning. Right. Nothing. The Bucs are right here. If the Bucs suck, nobody's going to go watch them play.
Yeah, the games were getting blacked out.
Exactly right. Games were getting blacked out a few years ago. But Tom Brady came. What happened? Everybody loves the Bucs because they're winners. Baker Mayfield's here. They're winning. People love them. They go see them. The Rays will undoubtedly be loved if they win. And, you can small market. Yeah. You can talk about, well, they're in the playoffs. Going to the playoffs is not winning. That's going to the playoffs. Winning is bringing home a trophy. That's what winning is. And, a lot of people think that's harsh. A lot of people think that, there's still success when you don't win. Yeah, but you're still losing.
Right.
And the object is to win. That's what you play for. And when this community, when the Tampa Bay Rays win, they will be beloved by everybody. And you can call it bandwagon people, you can say that, but when they win, and it doesn't have to be World Series when you talk about community. When they win, people will be excited about them. Absolutely.
So Paul, before I let you go, what kind of person is Joe Molloy? Because people are going to want to know, they're like, right now, a lot of Rays fans, they're probably disillusioned with baseball ownership, and they may know the name, they may not know him as well, but just from your interaction, just for knowing him for over 4 decades, what kind of guy is Joe Molloy?
Well, personally, he's loving and caring.
Mm-hmm.
He was not only was he the general partner of the Yankees, but he was a school teacher. He dealt with kids for a lot of years, youth baseball coach. As a businessman, shrewd, you have to be.
Right.
But I could tell you, I love Joe. He's a great man. I think he would do great things if he was part of that group that could bring Tampa here. I just think he could do a lot of great things for the Tampa Bay Rays or any other organization there is.
Yeah, and you think he could make it work, even because it looks like if they do this, the stadium will stay in St. Pete, but it'll be Tampa-based investors. Do you think it would work? Do you think he would him and his group would be able to find a way to make it work in St. Pete?
I think so. I think there's so many ways to make it work, with travel, transportation, that type of stuff. To a lot of avenues that you could explore. But I think the biggest thing, and because you're there all the time, if you win, the old movie saying, if they build it, if you build it, they will come. If you win, they will come. People will show up, and there'll be a great community influence on that.
He's Paul Russo. Go check him out. Hit Factory, TC, all the great things. My friend, I appreciate you. I love you. Give my love to the family, and we'll talk soon, pal.
All right, brother. Love you. Thank you.
You got it, man. The one and only Paul Russo. Baseball in the Tampa area. Very few people. I don't know if there's anybody else that I would call to find out about Joe Molloy more than Paul Russo. And I like what he had to say. And I know, Craig, what's up, pal? They win now and people don't show up. Other MLB towns would die for race success on the field. I get that. But, Craig, you got to win a championship. You got to do something where there's continued success with continued players. It's not just, we're a playoff team every year, because then you're not setting your bar high enough. And people don't want to be around entities where there's a glass ceiling. And if you have to constantly make excuses why, it's conditional. And you can't do that when there's obviously many other things around the Tampa Bay area to do. And when there's so many different games to attend. Listen, I'm not making excuses. It's not about excuses. It's about reasons. They got to win a championship. They got to retain their players. That's it. Got to win a champion. Got to retain players. You got to get an owner, if it's not going to be Stu, a bunch of guys that are going to get together and invest in the relationship with the community. Not just investing in the community, but investing in the relationship with the community, where they make it so that you feel like you have to go to a Rays game. Not that you want to. You have to. You need to. If somebody gets you a ticket, you're like, oh, my God, yes, definitely. You don't even think about it. How many people you get a ticket to the Tampa Bay Lightning game? You don't even think about what plans or who's watching your kids. You're like, I can go. I'll figure everything else later. It's not the same thing with the Rays. All right, let's get back into NFL free agency. I know it has been crazy with Twitter being down. So this is where we have it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. What deals do you see? I'm looking at Twitter. It's all these swirling circles here. Something went wrong. Try reloading. God, man, how many people around the country right now are freaking out, not being able to get their news? But we got it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Some of the breaking news. Milton Williams, and you saw what he was able to do for the Eagles as the defensive tackle. He signs with the Carolina Panthers. Dan Moore Jr. signing a 4-year, $82 million contract with the Titans, the offensive tackle. That deal includes $50 million guaranteed. The Giants have agreed to terms on the deal with, I know a lot of people were wondering if this guy was going to be a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going from the Saints to the Bucs, but no. The third-round pick out of Stanford, Paulson Adebo, who started 51 games for the New Orleans Saints, including all 17 games as a rookie, he signs with the New York Giants. I gave you the Jordan Lewis deal. He's going to the Jaguars. Robert Spillane on a 3-year deal to the Patriots. Jimmy G in L.A., he's going to back up Matthew Stafford, who has a new weapon with Devontae Adams being traded there. The Washington Commanders agree to a 3-year deal with defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. How crazy is that? Javon Kinlaw, drafted in that same draft as Tristan Wirfs, $45 million deal over 3 years. B.J. Hill stays in Cincinnati with the Bengals, a 3-year, $33 million deal there. Cardinals re-sign starting left guard Evan Brown. Former Dolphins wideout Braxton Berrios reaches an agreement on a 1-year, $2 million deal. The Atlanta Falcons lose their center, Drew Dahlman, He reached an agreement on Monday on a 3-year, $42 million deal that includes $28 million guaranteed with the Chicago Bears. So Drew Dalman, who was playing with the Falcons last year, and they really liked him. I know he was battling some injuries, but he's out. He goes to the Bears. They find their guy under center for Caleb Williams. Chiefs sign offensive lineman Jalen Moore, 4-year veteran, 2 years, $30 million. He's there mostly as a backup with the San Francisco 49ers. Who else haven't we got to? Braden Smith will stay with the Colts. Let's see. Got to a lot of these other ones. The Broncos meeting with Evan Ingram. And then, of course, the big deals of the day with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chris Godwin back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is such a huge deal for the Bucs. We'll get to the logistics here. It's a 3-year, $66 million deal with the Bucs. So remember, we put this out a couple of days ago. People are saying, oh, Chris Godwin is going to be over $25 million. No, he's not. No, he's not. He didn't then. He isn't now. And make sure you go read the article from our guy, Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times. You know, he 3-year deal, $66 million contract, $44 million guaranteed. That is what it's all about. Him staying here, being here with Mike Evans, with with Jalen McMillan. He's second on the Bucs career list with 579 receptions for 72, 66, and 39 touchdowns. How many teams out there can say that they have not only the best player in one position in history, but also the second player in a position in their history playing on the same team at the same time before they retire? Like, how many other teams out there are like that? I don't know, even know in any sport. Like, even I'm trying to look at like all-time great teams, but the same position. I look at the Penguins, right, with Crosby and Malkin. You could say, oh, it's the first best center and the second best center. Well, I don't know if either one of those guys are better than Mario Lemieux. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you could say it with the Lightning with Hedman and Sergachev at the time, or Hedman and McDonough, right? Maybe. I like it. Here we go. More stuff here. Looks like Carlton Davis on a 3-year deal with the Patriots. All right, Anthony, Chris, breaking all that news. Oh, wait. Here we go. Is everything coming back now on Twitter? Oh, it's crazy, man. Because then you refresh it, and then it goes down the rabbit hole again. All right, there we go. Former Detroit Lions and Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Carlton Davis has agreed to a 3-year, $60 million contract with the New England Patriots, $20 million a year, 34.5 fully guaranteed. Now, listen, you go out and get Robert Spillane, good deal. Go Carlton Davis. Mike Vrabel is going to put a lot of resources in to the defensive side of the ball, no matter what. And you get a guy like Carlton Davis, and looking at the injury with Detroit last year, he got that money for one reason and one reason only. Can anybody tell me why? Why did Carlton Davis get that money? Why did he get this deal? Can anybody tell me? Because he played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's it. It's not what they saw last year on tape. It wasn't what he did for the Detroit Lions. Hell, I mean, you probably didn't look at his stats because he missed a bunch of games for the Bucs. But just the fact that he played for the Bucs and he's got a ring, Mike Vrabel's going to want that dude in there. There you go. There you go. We the Thunder, what else do you think the Bucs need? Good question. I would like to see the Buccaneers now focus their attention on cornerback. I would like to see the Buccaneers focus on interior linebacker situation. Just because whether Levante David came back or not, you need interior linebackers. I hope they get maybe one guy in free agency. Sherwood was a guy I know a lot of people like. He ended up going back to the Jets. Robert Spillane was a guy that I've been calling for since last year at the trade deadline because I think he's a tackling machine. You need a guy like that that's going to be able to go sideline to sideline. So obviously he's not available now. So do you get a Schlesinger in the draft? Do you get a Jihad Campbell in the draft? Right? There's a lot of different options, a lot of different ways that you can go, but you still have to make sure that you're getting another linebacker. Corner and linebacker. Ty answered the question perfectly here. Corner and interior linebacker. Bucs main needs now. Don't hate wide receiver and edge rush either. I don't hate defensive tackle. I want you to throw as many resources, and I say this about every team every year. Throw as many resources as you can to the three positions that are rotational. The three positions that are rotational are your defensive line, your corners, and your wide receivers, right? And maybe corners to a lesser extent, but it's not, maybe rotational is not the right word for corners, but you have situations where, you have not just two corners, you have 3, 4, 5, depending on what your package is going to be out there, right? Wide receivers, we know how that goes. Sometimes Mike comes off the field. Sometimes Chris goes off the field. We see the Sterling Shepards and the Cam Johnsons of the world and the Ryan Millers. Yeah, that's fine. Defensive tackle, rotating guys in. We've seen Greg Gaines and Nacho and we've seen all these different players over the years. Will Golston and Logan Hall. There's just so many different guys you throw at that spot. So I would like those positions to be taken care of. Inside linebacker and corner, I think, are the two priorities right now. Go get you a couple of corners. Go get you two guys that maybe one of them doesn't have to start right away and the other guy can start opposite of Zion McCollum, because I don't know if Jamel Dean's future will be here in Tampa Bay. I wouldn't be surprised if, whether it's on draft day or leading up to it, that they make a deal similar to what we saw last year with Carlton Davis. Don't be surprised if you see something like that as well. Zion's not going anywhere. We know that. So throwing multiple assets at the cornerback position, I am all for it. All for it. And I love looking at now Twitter that's coming up and just seeing all these different things of Chris Godwin returning to Tampa Bay, because I never thought that it was not going to happen. Was anybody questioning whether that was going to happen? Because if that's the case, you just don't know ball. Sorry. I never thought it was something to worry about. I never thought it was something that, oh, wow, I'm going to believe. Where are all the markups now? Where are all the mock-ups now? Right? Where are all the Chris Godwin and Patriot uniforms? Where's all that? Where's all everybody having fun on their paint and all the CGI stuff? Oh, look at Chris Godwin. I guess he's not signing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sorry, Liam Cohen. Sorry about your damn luck. Maybe Light does the double CB draft again this year. I don't think that would be a terrible idea. It's very, very exciting to be able to see what is going on with the Buccaneers. And now that Twitter's kind of getting back, I feel so happy for everybody. I'm retweeting this now. Get here. The Bucs are absolutely crushing free agency. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I said it with Ian Beckles, and I'll say it here again. I don't know if you're just joining us, Levante David, Chris Godwin, Ben Bredesen, all coming back. Hassan Reddick, also with the Buccaneers on a 1-year deal. Just so many good things happening for the Buccaneers. I don't know if this start to free agency could be any better for them. Jake Cobian, another valued listener and viewer here. Appreciate you, my friend. To me, it wasn't a question of if Godwin was coming back. It was always how much he's coming back for. Yeah, I was never really worried about that because it was never about the money for Chris. Chris isn't Myles Garrett. Chris Godwin is not Devontae Adams or DK Metcalf. He's not that guy. Maybe not Devontae, but DK. Chris wasn't that guy. For Chris, it was about comfort. I found it very hard to believe that Chris was going to leave the Tampa Bay area coming off of that injury, having a newborn, playing with a guy like Mike Evans, playing with a guy like Baker Mayfield, playing for a guy like Todd Bowles and Jason Light. I just found it very hard to believe that Chris Godwin, the kid that before he was even really a rookie with the Buccaneers, already bought an apartment. This guy has been wise beyond his years since the day he got drafted out of Penn State. He understands that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. What was a trip to New England really going to do for him? What was him signing for the Jacksonville Jaguars really going to do for him? Nothing. Nothing. You're here with the Bucs. You're home. You're Chris Godwin. You're one of the best players in franchise history. You say that a lot about Mike Evans, a lot of these other guys. When it's all said and done, you're going to look at Chris's numbers and go, damn, This guy's going to be a freaking Ring of Honor member too. You can talk a lot about Hall of Fames, and we can go back and forth, right, about what's going on. And we've had this conversation about the Lightning, but let's have it about the Buccaneers. How many guys on this Bucs team are going to go into the Ring of Honor? How many? What's the number? I'll give you the number right now. Okay? No doubt about it. We're not going to go Baker yet. We're not going to go with any of the running backs yet. But we're going to go Mike Evans. We're going to go Chris Godwin. We're going to go Tristan Wirfs. No doubt about it. We're going to go Vita Vea. We're going to go Levante David. And we're going to go Antoine Winfield Jr. You have possibly 6. I don't even think it's possibly. I think there's no doubt about it. You're going to have 6 guys that are on this Buccaneers team in the Ring of Honor one day. 6. That's amazing. You got a couple of Hall of Famers, and Ian said it right before. He said you have Hall of Famers. You have future Hall of Famers running the Tampa Bay Buccaneers locker room. You have multiple future members of the Ring of Honor running the Buccaneers locker room. And that is why I'm not worried about a guy like Hassan Reddick. I don't worry about him being a malcontent. I worry very little about that. I think he's going to come in. He's going to do his part. I think he's going to ball out. I think he's going to make everybody around him better. I think it's going to make Yaya better. It's going to make Braswell better. It's going to make the corners not have to cover as long. I think it's a home run for Jason Light. Craig, fair question here. Does the Stamkos bad move to Nashville play into the minds of guys that grass may not be greener? I don't think so, because there is still kind of a back and forth with how that went. I still have people coming up to me saying like, oh, well, he went for the money. And, what I heard from certain people and what a lot of other people heard were not the same thing. So when Stammer writes a book one day, maybe we'll find that out. Maybe you'll find out right here on the Jay Recher podcast. You never may know. But I don't know, because that was a kind of a situation where it wasn't like it was a money grab. He didn't go there and just, right. There wasn't a lack of communication. There wasn't a lot of communication. I'll tell you that. There wasn't a lot of communication between Stammer and the Lightning. There were some, but it wasn't like a big back and forth with this number, that number, this number, that number. Like, it's a situation almost similar to what we saw with Brad Marchand going from Boston to Florida. They couldn't come to an agreement on a deal, so they ended up moving him. It's more like that rather than a guy that's like reaching for the money and, all right, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But Craig, a very, very fair question. I appreciate you chiming in as always, my friend. Hope you're all well. And yeah, we're talking a lot of Buccaneers and a lot of NFL free agency right now. And it's so great to be able to look at Twitter once again, baby. Steelers reportedly closing in on adding Aaron Rodgers. That was 6 minutes ago. That's interesting. The Chiefs are signing running back Elijah Mitchell. That's, a little something. Nothing crazy there, because you know what their running back situation is already like, with having a guy like Kareem Hunt. Is he going to go back? I don't know. And what happened with Isaiah Pacheco? That was kind of a weird situation as well. Stephanie says Julian made it clear from day one he didn't want to re-sign him. I don't know if it was clear, because I know there was a true report that after that final game in Florida that they met on the tarmac and they had a conversation. So you don't have that conversation without thinking that there would be some kind of reconciliation, but it just, obviously just didn't work out. Sometimes things like that happen. But NFL free agency today has been crazy. Now that Twitter's back up, I mean, you'll be able to kind of see some more of the deals. But another one, big deal. The Chargers are re-signing their punter, J.K. Scott. Bring him in. That's another position that not a lot of people are talking about as well. We thought that a guy like Jake Camarda would be the punter for the Buccaneers for the foreseeable future. And, man, it just fell off a cliff. And, you're kind of piecing it together. And I know with you having Chase McLaughlin in there, he's done such a great job. What happens from here on out with the punter, though? You want to have something where it's locked in and you don't have to worry about it. But I don't know. I don't know. Eric Moreno, what's going on, buddy? How happy are you that the Buccaneers have made these moves? Again, a really solid start to free agency for the Bucs. It's a beautiful thing. Chris Godwin re-signing with the team, 3 years, $66 million, $44 million guaranteed. I love how they were able to retain their guys and then go out and get a guy like Hassan Reddick. You're spending less money on Hassan Reddick than you are for a guy like Khalil Mack. All $18 million of that deal for Khalil with the Chargers is guaranteed. Only 12 of the 14 for Khalil for Hassan Reddick with the Buccaneers. Here's the other thing. For all the people out there that said that the Buccaneers, and this is why you have to be very careful with where you get your information from. Please, 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 if you get an opportunity, okay? If I'm going to start off with this. If I say something that's wrong, or if I say something that's incorrect, or I just completely screwed up, I'll put my hand. I have no problem saying that. We all make mistakes. But if you're going to speculate on something that's going to be one or the other, when it doesn't really have to be that, you're just kind of throwing shit in the air and hoping you're throwing shit against the wall and hoping that it sticks. I don't want to do that. I'm never going to do that, ever. Same thing with the Lightning last week. As soon as I found out, hey, something is in motion, we knew that in 24 hours a deal was going to be made. And what happened? Less than 24 hours a deal was made, because everything that would happen with Cam Atkinson and people coming out to me saying something is in the works. As soon as I found that out, I pass it on to you guys and we go from there. Nothing more, nothing less. But for everybody that said it was either Chris Godwin or signing a pass rusher in free agency, now look what happened. They were able to do both. They were always going to be able to do both. Always going to be able to do both. Chris Godwin was not going anywhere. And the amount of money that they were going to sign him with, it was not going to preclude them from spending money on a pass rusher. And that's exactly what we saw. They were able to keep Bredesen at a higher number than I think some people thought. Put that into the equation as well. Oh, if you bring back Chris Godwin, you're not going to bring in a pass rusher. Really? Not only were you able to bring in a pass rusher, but you were able to sign Ben Bredesen to a deal higher than people thought on a 3-year deal. You were able to bring back Lavonte David, and you were able to sign Hassan Reddick. Be wary of where you get your information from. And that's why I say it time and time again. Stay with your guys and gals that do it on a daily basis, that are covering this team, that were in the locker room, not just this year, but every single year. That's why I trust the Rick Strouds. That's why I trust the Greg Almonds of the world and the Scott Reynolds, like the Eric Erlinsons, the Mark Topkins. Like, those are the names that aren't just going to throw things out there and say, hey, if it sticks, it sticks. No, it means something then to be correct. It's not always about being first. It's about being right. You want to be first and you just want to speculate on things that aren't true, then all right, great. But that's not how I'm going to operate. Not now, not ever. Jason Light for president, Hammer says. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that. We are Team Tampa Bay. We are Champa Bay. I know so many people are happy right now. Do you hear about the Godwin deal? Do you hear about Lavonte David and Ben Bredesen, Hassan Reddick? Yes. Yes, 100%. And this is also an inclination that the Bucs are not sitting pat. They're not in a situation where they're looking at their surroundings going, well, you know, we could be good and we could give it the good old college try. We'll just go out there. We've won the division. Why be aggressive in free agency? I hate that aspect. I hate that mindset. I hate that belief. Like, you should never be spending every single day trying to make your team better. That's what we see with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, I pass that information on to you when I get it from a guy like Julian Breezeball. Hey, man, what are you going to do at the trade deadline? Jay, it's not about the trade deadline. Not about the trade deadline, Jay. It's about spending 365 days to make this team better, and that's exactly what he does. All right, it's Champa Bay, and it's Champa Bay for a reason. No, you can keep that trophy up front, Coach. Coach Power and the Bloomingdale Girls. Bring it. What's going on? How is everybody doing over there?
Great. Good.
We're doing great. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you so much, Coach. And we got Noelle with us and Izellah with us. I mean, Champa Bay, I mean, you guys are part of Tampa Bay. The sign in the background. Coach, we'll start with you. I mean, what is it like to be able to bring home the championship and to be part of Tampa Bay?
Oh, it feels so good. These girls have worked so hard, these two in particular, for 4 years here at Bloomingdale. And, when you see the results from all of that hard work, it makes it so worthwhile. So I couldn't be more happy than to sit next to these two and the rest of their teammates and represent Tampa, the 813. I've had so many people reach out and that are proud of what we accomplished. And so you never think this could happen to you, but when it does, it's such a great feeling that we'll probably never forget.
Noelle, we'll start with you. What was that feeling when it finally happened that you guys knew you were going to be state champs?
That was like probably one of the best feelings in the world. It like felt like in that moment, like I just felt complete. Like I accomplished every goal I wanted to here. And yeah, it was one of the best feelings in the world. And, I got to celebrate it with all the people that I've been working with and worked so hard for over the past couple of years. And it was just, like I said, one of the best feelings in the world.
And Z, player of the game, the championship game. What was working for you in that title game? You were a dominant force.
What was working for you?
Oh,
Okay.
the zone was really working for me, my layups pretty good. She dominated. Yeah.
She dominated.
I felt like Jason Tatum.
Oh yeah, Jason Tatum got the all day, every day. You're a champ. Hey, now you're a champ like Jason Tatum, the big deuce they call him. Z, you got the basketball there. Your record in school, 106-15. What did coach do? What kind of culture is there? Why are you guys so successful there at Bloomingdale?
Just by the work we put in, off season, behind the scenes, at practice,
Noelle, what do you think when you think back at this team? What are some of the kind of common characteristics that this team has where you look at it and go, if you're going to tell somebody else, hey, a winning program, a winning team looks like that, and they go, well, what's the recipe to your success? What would you answer that question?
I just say we just had a lot of great individual girls over the years that really helped build this program and make it to what it is. Like starting from my freshman year and even before that, we just had a bunch of good kids that came and worked hard, wanted to be a part of something, wanted to play for a team, and then it just built over all these years, and and then until we won a state championship. Like remember last year, one of the captains on our team is, we take baby steps every year, and eventually we got to the where we want to be at.
Go ahead. No, I just want to expand on that.
Yeah.
It's the kids that put in the work, right? That show up at 7 a.m. To get extra shots up and extra work. And when you have, like, when your leaders are your hardest workers, everybody knows that the culture, that's the culture. It's what you do when people aren't looking, and what you do every day, your consistency. That's these two kids and their teammates. And when you get a group like that, it's special.
Shout out to Sandra. Okay, Izellah and Noelle, that's my grandbaby, y'all. Congrats,
My grandma.
There you go. How great is that? Every girl did work. This is what happens. The Jay Recher podcast. We are coast to coast like butter and toast here in the Tampa Bay area. Everybody knows, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Great job. That's all. Hi, Sandra. It's so good to hear from you. Coach, when did you know? Because I know that there's a point in every season when you look at the group and you can look at it, and especially, looking back after you win the championship. But at what point this year did you look at that team and go, we could really possibly do something special this season?
Yeah, I remember when it was, we put together a tougher schedule this year to try to better prepare us for playoff basketball. And one of those games was down at Booker High School in Sarasota. So it's an hour from our campus. We head down there and we play in a really hostile environment against a really good team. It felt like everything was against us. And the girls played so hard, played together. And I think that moment really brought the group together.
Right.
And then, it's a big road win again in a hostile environment against a Final Four team. And that, I think that drive home, that's when it clicked for me. Those are the kind of wins, those tough road wins that really tell you a lot about the group that you have. So that was it for me.
What was it like to have Titus O'Neil? And Titus is a really, really good friend of mine. He's larger than life. Not only is he just an imposing figure, but just his heart is triple the size of Tampa Bay. What was it like? And I'll ask all of you guys to be able to have Titus there and just having somebody that's just, he's a representative. He's got Team Tampa Bay coursing through his blood. Z, what was it like to have Titus there?
It was great. I used to watch him wrestle like WWE, so it's pretty cool to have someone come in and talk to us.
What do you think, Noelle?
I always like when people come in and talk to us, because even if I don't remember the whole thing, I always take little bits and pieces from it. And one of the things he says is there's two things people can't take away from you, is an education and championship, and no one's gonna be able to take this away from you.
I love that. How did that come to be with Titus being involved?
It happened real quick. So my athletic director walked in, and instantly it's like, there's Titus O'Neil. And we were stretching, like, this is 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes before tip off. He introduced himself and to the coaches and players. And then I said, do you mind saying a few words? And boy, did he ever. It was, I feel like we were really fired up when he was done. He had a great message for the girls. Like Noelle said, they can't take away your education. They can't take away this title. Basically go out and get it, do it for Hillsborough County, for Tampa Bay area. And it was great. And then for him to say something on X afterwards and congratulate us. I'm well aware of everything he does for this community. He didn't have to do that day. And so it meant a lot. It meant a lot for sure. It made you realize, like, yeah, this is a big deal.
It is. And I want to give you guys an example of this. Okay. This is my guy from We the Thunder, very popular Lightning podcast. Congrats. My daughter plays high school ball. We have some great athletes on the court in Tampa Bay. And you young ladies may not understand this maybe until you get a little bit older, but through sports, you have an opportunity to kind of lead a path or leave a path for younger generations, where what you just did and the way that you did it, the way that you came together to win and achieve great things, you're setting an example for young girls all around the Tampa Bay area and abroad. So now when they look back on 2025, they're going to be like, Bloomingdale won the championship. And these were some of the girls that were able to do it. So please, again, like what Titus says, always have that with you. It'll be very, very special. And it's something that even when you're older, even when you're doing a lot of different things in your life, you're going to look back on that thing right there. And it's something that is, nobody can ever take that away from you. And there's going to be other happy things that you have in your life, marriage, kids, work, like just a lot of different things that happen in your life that are going to bring you joy and happiness. But there's something about winning a championship in high school, because you go to school with the same people, right? You go to prom, you go to homecoming, you have friends, you have class. Like, it's just, there's something different about this, because what happens after high school is a lot of people go in different directions. I'm not from Tampa. I'm from New York, and I barely talk to many of the people that I played baseball with. But when we get back together, right, we only made the playoffs one time in 35 years in my high school. And that bond that we have with each other, and I'll be 40 in 2 months, that has never gone away. And the bond that you guys have because of winning the state championship is something that nobody will ever take away from you. So congratulations. You guys did an incredible job. Before I let you go, Z, kind of what's the next step for you? Like, what do you got going on this summer? What everybody wants to know, player of the game, like everybody wants to know, what's Z going to be up to now that she's a state champ?
This summer, well, I'm going to be working on basketball a lot. I'm also going to go on vacation for the first time.
There you go. Where are you going?
I'm going on a cruise.
Nice.
Puerto Rico, somewhere else, and then Turks and Caicos.
Nice. I've been to Turks and Caicos. It is amazing. If you go there, they get a Jeep. Get a Jeep and go around the island. That's what I did when I went there. It is amazing. You'll love it. The water is beautiful. What about you, Noelle? I know you're going to UT, so you're staying in the Tampa Bay area. So how excited are you going to be able to wear the red and black and play for the Spartans?
Oh, I'm really excited. That's what I've been looking forward to. And then I'm just, I feel like I'm going on vacation next week. I'm just take this next couple days just to reset myself because, it's been like really long. It's been like 4 to 5 months.
Girl, you're tired, aren't you?
And then after that, my focus is going to be getting ready for college.
That's awesome. What about you, Coach? How do you come down? Have you come down yet from the craziness?
Nope. It's been a whirlwind, and I'm just enjoying every second of it because I know I'll miss it one day. I'm going to take we have spring break next week, so I'm going to get through that and enjoy that little break, be with my family, and then start thinking about 25, 26, and how do you follow this up? I don't know.
Well, it's something that'll live for you guys and gals for a lifetime. So congratulations. Thank you so much, Coach Z, Noelle, for representing Team Tampa Bay and Champa Bay. You're a part of it forever, man. Go Bulls. You know me. I love that. Go Bulls. So thank you so much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of the week. And keep kicking butt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Champs. The champs are here. All right. Great stuff. God, Bloomingdale. How cool was that? Z, Noelle, Coach Bauer, you guys, so incredible to be able to see everybody banding together, working for a common goal to win the championship, to have Titus O'Neil there. What a very special moment. I'm so glad. That's the difference here on the Jay Recher podcast. We are able to talk about different things, multiple things. We're not just talking about the same old stuff. Yeah, we're talking NFL free agency. That's going to be topic A, B, and C today. But we're also going to give you some insight on Joe Molloy, the guy that's possibly going to be part of the group to buy the Rays. We're also going to talk some Bloomingdale Girls Basketball. The champs are here. The state champs are here. It's a beautiful thing. You got to love it. Let's see. DJ Reed going from the Jets to the Lions, a 3-year, $48 million deal, $32 million guaranteed. There is your replacement for Carlton Davis there with the Lions. Former Eagles cornerback Isaiah Rodgers reached an agreement on a 2-year, $15 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings. The deal includes $8 million fully guaranteed. The deal was negotiated by Brian Gavin and Ed Wesolewski from EMG Sports. Let's go. Beautiful. I'm just tweeting out because Twitter wasn't up for a while. So now we're here. Any questions? And thank you. And this is one of our super chats here. Shout out to Big Earn. I'm as big of a gambler as the next guy, but Hassan Reddick is a volatile at best. That being said, I'm teetering between caution and full-blown optimism. That's our first super chat in the history of the program here. So thank you so much, Big Earn. And we're going to actually start moving towards super chats more and more often. So Big Earn, thank you so much. We're trying to grow this thing here on the Jay Recher podcast. And yeah, Big Earn, you're the best. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And listen, I know that some people are going to be cautiously optimistic when it comes to Hassan Reddick because of what happened last year. I'm teetering between caution and full-blown optimism. I can understand having reservations. I get that aspect of it. I understand, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know if this is a deal that should be giving you any kind of caution whatsoever. And here's the reason why. Because it's only a 1-year deal. It's only a 1-year deal, and at the max, it's less than $15 million. Remember the conversation that we had about Khalil Mack? The conversation we had about Khalil Mack last week, and I was very concerned about getting closer and closer to $20 million. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. Because I thought there was a fall off in his play last year. Reddick, that stuff was off the field. It was off the field, and you're talking about a difference where when you look at Hassan Reddick at 30 years old, when you look at Khalil Mack, who's 34 years old, just turned 34, like that makes a difference. It certainly makes a difference. He's not going to turn 31 till September. Again, I have so much confidence in the Buccaneers and the way that they evaluate their players that I think this is a home run. Let's say he doesn't do well. It's just 12. So if he doesn't do well, he's not going to reach that $14 million. It'll probably be only 12 million. 12 million? Salary cap's going up every year anyway. So, you know. And Bigger says, upside is insane. I give you that. Best case scenario, he comes in and realizes he's playing for that life-changing contract. And I don't know if he'll get that, Bigger. I don't know if he'll get that at then 31 years old. I don't know if he'll get a big deal. But if you're him, right, look at all the money that he's made over the years. Okay, and we'll look it up real quick. Hassan Reddick contract. I mean, the guy's made a pretty penny over the years. All right, so Hassan Reddick in his career has made $66 million. 66. So, and I think that was before 51, 64. Yeah, so that was before the deal with the Buccaneers. So it'll be 78, possibly $80 million with the Buccaneers. He'll get one or let's say he gets another one or two after this. If he signs another 1-year deal, it'll probably be similar to that. If he does really well, it's probably a 2 or 3 year deal worth more than that, maybe 20. Let's say he balls out for the Buccaneers next year. He'll be 31. Then what kind of deal you think he'll get? 3 years? If he wants a multi-year deal, it'll be 2 years worth 18 to 22, right? So you're looking at a guy that's going to be over $100 million for his career. I don't see that's such a bad thing at all. I think it works out for everybody. And Sandra, thank you, of course, for having them on. You know us here in the Tampa Bay area. We're Team Tampa Bay all day, every day. Got to feel good for Jason Light making all of these things happen. So many people are just head over heels with what they've been seeing when it comes to free agency here. Bredesen back with the Bucs. Godwin back with the Bucs. Levante David back with the Bucs. And then you see this with Hassan Reddick bringing him in. It's a beautiful thing. Let's go around NFL free agency, see if we missed anything. It looks like Morgan Moses, former Jets right tackle, signing with the Patriots. Maybe the Jets will sign tackle at 7, but that's kind of weird too, because Diana Rossini put something out with Morgan Moses with a Patriots logo a couple of days ago. And now it looks like that's actually going to happen. So I don't know if it was, letting the cat out of the bag, because she said it was a very bad mistake, a very poor mistake from her team. Now that it's happening, I was keeping a close eye on that. Okay, well, you're saying that it was a mistake by your team. Well, let's see where Morgan Moses ends up. And you see where Morgan Moses goes. He goes to the New England Patriots. And how about the job that the Patriots have done so far under Mike Vrabel? Austin Hooper, tight end, resigning on a 1-year, $5 million deal, $4 million guaranteed. Bring in Moses on a 3-year, $24-year deal. They got Harold Landry for the edge. Boston College kid, played with the Titans, signing a 3-year, $43.5 million deal, $26 million fully guaranteed, and a max of $48. I mentioned the Robert Spillane deal and Carlton Davis. So, man, they got an edge rusher, they got a linebacker, they got a cornerback, they got an offensive tackle, and a tight end. Big time moves there in New England. Don't be surprised if they flip the script quick in year 1 under Mike Vrabel. He knows how to build a team. He knows what it takes. And now you're looking at a team with Drake May at quarterback. Do they need some weapons? Of course. They need some weapons on the outside. They need to continue to build up on both sides of the football. But they are certainly moving in the right direction. It's fun to watch. It is fun to watch all these deals that are being made. Just seeing guys like Carlton Davis sign somewhere else. I mean, 3 years, $60 million, $20 million per with the New England Patriots. You feel good because you'll always respect and admire what he was able to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, helping them win a Super Bowl. But I said it before, and I'll say it again. That's the reason why he got that deal. The reason why he got that deal is because he was a champ with the Buccaneers. That's it. And for all the people, now we see Myles Garrett, I want out. I want to play for a winner. And then he gets a deal that made him the highest non-quarterback in history. I said it before and I'll say it again. For 99% of the players, it is all about the money. And the only time you find out that it's not about the money is after the fact. Only after the fact do you find out that it wasn't about the money. That's it. Because all these guys, I want to play for this, or I want to do this. Man, you want to get paid. Don't hide from it. It's true. There's nothing wrong with it either. Who cares? It don't matter, right? Like, go get that bag when you can. A real quick recap of the weekend for our USF athletics. Great to see softball take 2 of 3 from UAB. Unfortunately, baseball fell 2 of 3 to Villanova. Lacrosse with a big win as well. Men's tennis, women's tennis. Man, some really, really good stuff there. Keep an eye out. Basketball tonight, the women underway in the American Athletic Conference Championship. Let me give you the proper deets for that. Come on now. There we go. Tonight at 9 o'clock against Tulane. Make sure you tune in ESPN. It'll be on ESPN Plus. Tune into our girls. Coach Jose Fernandez and the Bulls. Got to get that dub. Got to get that dub. You got to win the conference championship if they want to play in the NCAAs this year. The guys taking on Wichita State in a couple of days. More on that as we get closer. Shout out to Curtis Mead, who keeps hitting. What is he, 15 for 22? Ray's getting closer and closer to opening day. Rowdies lose 1-0 to Las Vegas in a game where they played fantastic. Just a little bit of a miscue between the goaltender and Aaron Guillen. Ended up in the back of the net. Killer, absolute killer on Saturday night. AEW Revolution last night. If you want to watch one pay-per-view this year, that might have been Elimination Chamber is fantastic, but there was so many good matches at AEW Revolution. The match between Toni Storm and Mariah May, bloody glass all over the arena, cinema. I just one of the best wrestling matches I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Hyperbole or not. Insane. If you're squeamish, don't watch it. If you want to watch one match from that night, put that one on. Crazy. Will Ospreay in the cage with Kyle Fletcher was really good. Didn't really like how it ended with Christian going in there, and he ended up losing to Jon Moxley in the match with Cope. I did like Swerve Strickland coming out at the end. He had a pretty good match with Ricochet. That's AEW for you. It always seems like there's a lot of great in-ring action, but then when they're focusing on the finish and the stuff outside of the ring, that's where it leaves a little bit to be desired. UFC 313, Alex Pereira lost his title to Magomed Ankalaev, and it was just a not great. Didn't really like that at all. I thought it could have been better. I thought Pereira could have been better. But how crazy is this? The Lightning lose on Saturday 4-0. It's the first time they got shut out at home since November 11th, 2023, when they lost 4-0 to Carolina Hurricanes. On that day, November 11th, 2023, that is when Alex Pereira became the light heavyweight champion. And then he lost the title the same day the Lightning got shut out again. So that's pretty freaking crazy. Miles Garrett, insert Ted DiBiase. He certainly did. The Stash, what the crap? I take an abnormal lunchtime Zoom meeting and I miss everything. Godwin coming back was the news I needed. Been a rough weekend. Sorry to hear that, buddy. Chris Perdomo wanted to give a shout out to the University of Tampa hockey team for winning the national championship. Yes, shout out to UT, the men winning the title. I saw that video yesterday. I posted it on my Twitter. Thank you, Chris, for sharing. I know basketball is qualified for the postseason. We're going to try to get the Benz basketball coach on as well. Man, so many good things in the Bay Area. USF, UT, our pro sports teams. We're just firing on all cylinders right now. I cannot wait to see what the rest of the week entails. Lightning on the road. So nothing there. Is Twitter taking a crap again? I think we're getting there. Today's been a tough day. Today has been an awfully tough day for Twitter and people around the country. Defensive end Derek Barnett has reached a one-year deal to return to the Houston Texans. 5 sacks in 2024, tied for third on the Texans. He also had the third highest pressure rate on the team. Remember Barnett out of Tennessee, former Philadelphia Eagle. Did I get everything else for you guys? Yes, I have. Every other deal. But of course, the big news today, everything going on with the Buccaneers. With Chris Godwin returning, such a great sign for the Bucs to get him back. Levante David coming back on Friday. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. David Terry, thanks for the tie or the draw with Man U and Arsenal. Yeah, what a match yesterday at 12:30 here locally, where Bruno Fernandes scores on a free kick just shy of the first half, and I thought Man U played much better in the second half. Declan Rice scores the goal to tie it up, and then they end up drawing 1-1. But man, I mean, you look at the opportunities. Rasmus Højlund had a couple. Mazraoui had one big one. David Raya, if it wasn't for him, United wins that game. So arguably, I don't think it's arguable, the worst year in Premier League history for our United, Manchester United. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you're kind of building in the right direction. It's a beautiful thing, man. I freaking love it. I love it. They're getting better and better, moving closer and closer. Just looking at some of the things. Chris Godwin left millions on the table by re-signing with the Bucs. The Patriots went hard and offered him much more than the Bucs, but ultimately Godwin wanted to stay in Tampa and sign for less. So there you have it. There you have it. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. 99% of the players in professional sports. All right, Micah. You guys hit me up. We're doing all this stuff. All right. Where make me lose my train of thoughts. So when it comes to pro sports, 99% of the athletes, even when they say it's not about the money, it is about the money. Look at Myles Garrett. Look at DK Metcalf. Oh, I won't go here. I won't sign here. Yeah, well, then when that contract is put in front of you, you completely have a different tune. The only way you find out that an athlete is not about the money and there are other things that factor into it is after the fact. And look no further than a guy like Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin valued the relationship with the team, the relationship with Mike Evans, the relationship with Baker Mayfield, the relationship with Todd Bowles, the fact that he has a newborn, the fact that he's coming off of injury. Chris Godwin put his money where his mouth was today. He proved to everybody out there the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And even though 99% of guys would probably sign for a team like New England for much more money, Chris Godwin isn't 99%. He's the 1%. And I'm glad that he is the guy that the Buccaneers brought back to be part of this winning team, this winning culture, this growing offense with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Jalen McMillan, and the entire crew. Chris Godwin is a guy that should never wear another uniform. He should be like Mike Evans, start his career in Tampa Bay, end his career in Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin is a future Bucs Ring of Honor inductee and one of the best offensive players this team and this organization will ever see. The great thing about it is that not only is he a great player on the field, but he's a better human being off of it. And I'm glad that he returns to Tampa Bay. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me today. Plenty of free agency talk throughout the program. Twitter, I think, has fallen off again. Here we go. Nikita Kucherov left practice holding his left arm. Went down the tunnel per Ed Encina. Oh, no. I saw that, but hopefully he'll be okay. You know how Cooch is. Follow me on all social media platforms at JRecher. You want to like and subscribe. A day like today is a perfect example. If Twitter goes down, I'm the only guy here for you during the noon hour, noon to 2, noon to 3, right here. So you want to subscribe and like on YouTube as well. I want to bring up again my guy Big Earn. Thank you so much. Pretty soon, the bigger we get, the only way you're going to be able to get your stuff on there. All right, the second shower chat. I got you, buddy. You're the man, Big Earn. You're the best. Thank you so much. We're going to get to that point where these chats are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The only way that we're going to be able to read your chats is if you coin up, spread a little coin, because I got to get paid to do this. I'm not trying to exhaust everybody. But man, I mean, this kind of stuff really helps me out in a big way. So Big Earn here and here. I appreciate you so much, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means a whole heck of a lot. Get those super chats in, baby. all day, every day. Shout out to David Terry and Nolan. I love you all. All right. Again, a big thank you to everybody that joined us on the program today, including Tim Benz, Ian Beckles, Paul Russo. You want to find out about Joe Molloy? That is the guy right there. And also all of our friends over at the Bloomingdale basketball team, Coach Bauer, Z, Noelle. Congratulations to the Bulls. We love you. Team Tampa Bay strong. And make sure you shout out our guy, Titus O'Neil, for imparting some wisdom, bigging them up. Love them. Love them so much. Tomorrow on the program, big announcement before we get off. You thought today's show was good? Wait till you see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow at 12:30. Who should we have on at 12:30 tomorrow? How about we have a guy on at 12:30 tomorrow that knows a little thing about golf, knows thing about pretty much everything. How about playing his entire career in one uniform? How about giving us one of the most iconic memories in Tampa Bay sports history? How about being a guy that's still heavily involved here in the Tampa Bay community? A guy whose smile you can see from the other side of town, who's got a pretty good golf game as well, and who I'm sure is very happy that Lavonte David, Chris Godwin, and Ben Bredesen are returning to the Buccaneers, and that the Bucs went out and signed Hassan Reddick because he loves the defensive side of the ball. Ladies and gentlemen, at 12:30 tomorrow on the Jay Recher podcast, we will have the Hall of Famer, Rondé Barber, on the program to discuss the upcoming Valspar Championship over there at Innisbrook with our friends, the Copperheads, on the Copperhead course there. The return of Lavonte David and Chris Godwin. Let your friends know. Tell a family member. Tell your mailman. Tell your dentist. Let everybody know. Rondé Barber, number 20, joining us on the program tomorrow at 12:30 right here on the Jay Recher podcast. We're not messing around. We're not slowing down. There's only one place to get your information at noon here in the Tampa Bay area. We're talking Bucks. We're talking Lightning. We're talking Rays, Rowdies, Sun, USF, UT, everything that's going on in the Tampa Bay area and abroad. You're going to get it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Again, follow me on all social media platforms at Jay Recher. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Get those super chats in. Let's keep growing this thing so it's bigger and bigger and bigger. And God, I can't thank you guys enough for the love and the support. Once again, 12:30 tomorrow. Rondé Barber, the Buccaneers Hall of Famer, joins us on the show. Hopefully everybody will be there as well. Thank you all. I'm going to go take a break. Monday Night Raw tonight. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, cage match. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised one bit if Roman Reigns is on Monday Night Raw tonight. Okay? Eric B. just got here. Don't leave. Eric, when I get off, you can go back and watch the entire show, my man. Great show. All the free agency stuff right here, including the breaking news about Chris Godwin and Hassan Reddick and Ben Bredesen, all the above. And tomorrow, once again, 12:30, Rondé Barber joins the program. That's going to do it for me. Thank you all. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day. At Jay Recher. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I'm gone. Peace out.